Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittalaya Sada Bhavatu Me Bho Rama Mamuddhara Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahmavitvaram Satgurum Brahmavitvaram. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. 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 7th verse through 11th verse. Amanitvam adambhitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham स्थैर्यमात्म विनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् Ajnanam yadatonyatha. Bhagavan elaborated what is the nature of kshetra, and before elaborating what is the nature of kshetrajna, Bhagavan said there are some values that we need to know. Kshetrajna means pure consciousness. Kshetra means that which is illumined. Different values are being discussed. Bhagavan calls all these values as knowledge. Because they are means of knowledge, he doesn't hesitate to call them as knowledge. Now these values, it looks like they are all actions. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti. And if you call them as knowledge, knowledge is not an action. But it is just like when you say, pay attention, then you will understand. Understanding is knowledge, but paying attention is an action. But that action will help me in knowledge. That's why paying attention can also be called as understanding. So here these values are going to help us in self-abidance. That is why Bhagavan calls them as knowledge. Another meaning we had seen, in essential nature, all these values will fit perfectly only in Atma. Amanitvam in true sense will be nature of Atma. In Aparokshanubhuti, towards the end of that text, Shankaracharya ji takes Ashtanga Yoga. And each limb of that Ashtanga Yoga, he explains from consciousness standpoint. He says Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. He will give definitions from consciousness standpoint. Means in true essence, that particular step has to lead to self-abidance. In the same way, these values also should lead us there. We were seeing the 8th and 9th verse. Indriyartheshu vairagyam anahankara evacha. Having detachment from sense objects and anahankara, not feeling superior than anybody else. That is called as anahankara. And Bhagavan said in 4 things we should see defects. We should see sorrow, 4 facets of life: birth, janma, mrityu, death, jara, old age, and vyadhi, disease. Said again and again, repeatedly think about sorrow coming from these 4 things. And one should plan our life in such a way that we can be free from it. Then the 9th verse said, Asaktihi anabhishvangaha. Saktihi means fondness arising out of something that we like. This is mine. That is called as Saktihi. Asakti means not having that fondness. Next one is little deeper. Abhishvangaha means fondness arising because of this is me. He has lost the distinction between that object and himself. That is called as Abhishvanga. Very well entered into that thing. Whatever happens there, he feels is happening to him. So the example we had seen was a car, home, or even pets many a times. If the dog is praised, owner feels he is praised. That is also an expression of Abhishvangaha. Now, what is the downside of this? As far as self-abidance is concerned, instead of abiding in the self, we are abiding somewhere else. That is the biggest downside. But one commentator he mentions, another downside is, whatever we identify with, our next destination is there. Whatever we strongly identify with, next destination of that jiva is in that same place. There is one story in Purana. Naradji was taking some Shivaganas and going on Bhuloka, telling them how to get Vairagya. Different places he was giving teaching. And in one shop, there is a goat that is trying to get in, and the shopkeeper is trying to shoo it away with a stick. Naradji stands there, smiles for a few minutes and goes away. All Shivaganas are curious. They say, why did you smile there? That goat shopkeeper was trying to shoo away. Why did you smile? He said, in last birth, this goat was that shopkeeper's father. Because his mind was so much in the shop, and because of some karma, he has now come as a goat. But he says, look at the irony of karma. The one who set up that shop gave everything to the son. Because he had that Abhishvanga, now he is going towards the grain. That previous thing was there to take the grain, put it somewhere. Now he wants to go, and same people are shooing him away. Next line he must have said, Bhajo Govindam, Bhajo Govindam. Don't have Abhishwanga in anything of this world. Destination there is nothing great. That was Asaktihi Anabhishwanga. That's why the next line comes, Putra Dara Gruhadishu. In progeny, children, in home, and in spouse. And all relatives, wherever it is, over and beyond, one should not have Abhishwanga. That is a spiritual value. If I want to understand nature of consciousness, Abhishwanga will be an obstacle. Nityam cha samachittattvam. This one is a very nice quality. Samachitta. Chitta means mind. Samachitta means equanimous mind. When is it equanimous? Now and then? He says no. Nityam cha samachittattvam. At all times he is able to maintain an equanimous mind. Equanimity for what? Ishta anishta upapattishu. Whenever he gets things which are favorable to him, which he likes, ishta, or if he gets some experience which is anishta, that which he doesn't like. In both cases, he is samachitta. This, in a way, is one of the main result of spiritual knowledge. See, Brahma is of the nature of sama. Nirdosham hi samam Brahma. So one who abides in the self becomes sama. That is the absolute way of looking at it. But even if we look at it from a sadhana standpoint, he has developed his mental strength in such a way that it doesn't allow favorable experiences to sway him in one direction, unfavorable experiences other direction. What is Ishta Anubhava? Praise, good health, getting the food that we like. All of that is Ishta. Anishta is opposite of that. If insult comes our way, health, body is giving some pain, that is Anishta. So Ishta and Anishta, in that he is able to remain equanimous. Now if this is something that we desire, how does one attain it? We want that equanimity between Ishta and Anishta. What is his anchor? One main anchor is he has understood the impermanence. Impermanence of favorable things, impermanence of unfavorable things. When good things are coming his way, body is healthy, in his mind he knows even this will pass away. And if body is giving pain, if there is insult coming his way, even this also will change at one point. That becomes his anchor to remain equanimous. See, this point we all have heard before. Huh? But one commentator, he builds upon this point. He says, just think about it. There are favorable experiences, unfavorable experiences. Notice the nature of both of them. Both are permanent or impermanent? Impermanent. Favorable experience, when it comes, it gives joy. But because it is impermanent, it will go away. So when it will go away, what will it give? Sorrow. What did it leave you with? Sorrow. He says favorable experience left us with sorrow. Now look at unfavorable experience. Pain is there in the body. Insult is there. When it comes, it gives sorrow. But what is the nature of that thing? Permanent or impermanent? impermanent. So it has to go someday. When that unfavorable experience leaves, what will we feel? Joy or sorrow? We'll feel joy. So just think about it. Unfavorable experience left us with joy, and favorable one left us with sorrow. So who is a wise person? While going through favorable experience, he says, even this will change, don't get too attached. And while he is going through unfavorable experience, he says, this is also some karma. One day it has to go away. That is how he is able to keep his mind equanimous. This is in addition to everything else. His devotion, his sadhana, his study, all of that are very helpful. This is just an additional thing. How do we look at favorable experiences? How do we look at unfavorable experiences? Now, it doesn't mean he is wanting unfavorable experience. Actually, it will not ask us. If prarabdha has to bring it, it will just present it. The only choice we have is how do we face it. So think about what did it bring, what will it leave us with. Nityam cha samachittatvam, ishta anishta upapattishu. 10th verse. Mayi chananya yogena bhaktiravyabhicharini viviktadesha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi. Mayi chananya yogena bhaktiravyabhicharini viviktadesha sevitvam aratirjana samsadi. Bhagavan says, Mai cha ananya yogena bhaktihi avyabhicharini. He said, this is also a value. Wholehearted surrender and devotion to Bhagavan is a value. What are the adjectives he gives? Ananya yogena. Anya yoga, yoga means to unite. Uniting the mind with Bhagavan, Mai. But there are stages in our sadhana. Once it gets united with Bhagavan, again with the world. With Bhagavan, again with the world. That is called as Anya Yoga. Little bit we can think of Bhagavan, then again it starts thinking of something else. Ananya Yoga means wholehearted quest for the Lord. If you ask that devotee, what do you want? You will not find several answers. He says, I want Bhagavan. But you also wanted this, you also wanted that. He says, all of them are for Bhagavan only. If it puts an obstacle in attaining Bhagavan, he says, I don't want it. Ananya yogena and avyabhicharini. Vyabhicharini bhakti means when everything is going well, when he gets what he wants, he says, Bhagavan, I belong to you. But when he doesn't get what he wants, he starts doubting Bhagavan's strength, doubting Bhagavan's sarvajnata, all-knowing nature. So avyabhicharini means that bhakti which doesn't come and go. Both of them, both adjectives are important. Ananya yogena means single-pointed quest for the Lord. There were a group of monks who were sitting. It was cold winter and the firewood was burning. These Mahatmas are wonderful. Even in ordinary things, they see some teaching. So there was one firewood which was wet. So wet firewood burning will make sound. So this teacher who was sitting there, he says, we have to cry for the Lord like that firewood. Along with our devotion, along with our bhakti, now and then there should be sincere tears in the form of, why is my mind not settling in you? Several lives we have lived, and this life is also going on. Dinayaminya sayam pratah shishira vasantav punarayatah. Day and night, years are coming by and going. Kalah kridati. Time is playing with us. Gacchati ayuhu. Days are passing by. Tadapina munchati ashavayuhu. Still desires are not leaving us. He says, like that firewood, we should pray. That is Ananya Yogena. These points we had seen in Sharanagati also. 6 steps of Sharanagati. How do we surrender to God? First thing Ramanujacharya says, we should live our life in such a way that Bhagwan is pleased with us. Anukulyasya sankalpaha. Gurudev puts it differently. He says, if you want to prove God, then improve yourself. Very beautiful statement. If I want to prove God, then I have to improve. That is this bhakti. Constantly striving to detect negativities and rise over them. Now this is Saguna Bhakti. Bhagwan with form, wholeheartedly putting ourselves in Bhagwan. In Vedanta we talk about negating this ahankara. Devotion gives us the most effective path to erase this ego. That's why they say, who is adhikari of Vedanta? One who has done karma and upasana. Through that gained sadhana chatushtaya. Through that focused on vairagya mumukshutvam. That person will just get this knowledge easily. But what was the beauty in his sadhana practice? Mellowing down of ego. The biggest obstacle one can face in Vedanta is this ahankara only. So why is this given as a value? Because it will help us in thinning down this ego. I cannot have pride and surrender together. Knowledge and false pride might be there. Right? Knowledge of so many things might be there, including Vedanta, keeping ahankara safe. But surrender and pride, surrender and lot of ego, they don't go together. Meaning person with ego won't be able to surrender. That is the beauty of this bhakti. But now some commentators, they have also given this Mayi Chananya Yogena Bhakti Ravyabhicharini from a Jnani Bhakta standpoint. Jnani Bhakta. So Mayi will refer to consciousness. It is still nature of Bhagwan, but Nirguna Swarupa of Bhagwan. And what is Ananya Yoga? Understanding Bhagwan as substratum of this creation. Whatever I see, everything is an appearance in that consciousness. Substratum and superimposed will always be together. You will not find wave somewhere, water somewhere. Water is the substratum, wave is the superimposed. So Mayi refers to that consciousness, which is the substratum, and world refers to the superimposed. What will be Jnani's Ananya Yoga? That wherever he sees Anatma, there he is able to recognize Atma. Because he has understood they are inseparable. Not only inseparable, one is real, another is unreal. Atma is real, Anatma is unreal. In this way, he is able to pay attention. That is Jnani's bhakti. He has understood that consciousness as substratum of this universe. If you want to put it in simple words, nothing is different from God. Because Bhagavan is material cause as pure consciousness, nothing is different from God. And he loves Bhagavan, that therefore nothing is greater than God. Both are very nice statements. Nothing is different than God, nothing is greater than God. That is called as Ananya Yoga. Bhakti avyabhicharini. Avyabhicharini means wherever he sees, wherever he goes, he is able to pay attention to the self. It's just like this harmonium. Once you know that harmonium is nothing but wood. Now, whichever part of harmonium you see, you cannot unsee wood. Like that, he has understood this creation is Chaitanya Swarupa. He cannot unsee Chaitanya. One part of our bhakti should appreciate Jnani bhakti also. Jnani's bhakti also. Otherwise what happens? We feel devotion, Vedanta is restricted to some time of the day. Let's say morning we did some Brahma Vichara. Then you sit in the car, go home. What do you do afterwards? Farmers market. Then again study group is there. Some Brahma Vichara happens. So during that time of satsang, we are doing Brahma Vichara. Well, what happens in between? So Ananya Bhakti is that where in satsang we have understood that Chaitanya is Adhisthana of Jagat. So it's as though it's a practical. It's not that way, but I'm just putting it in simple words. One is you have theory and practical. You understand something, then you apply it. So Vedanta's moksha is not limited to any time or place. Vedanta's bhakti is not limited to time or place. That is why this word comes, bhakti avyabhicharini. Okay. Vibhutis might be there. If you go to a temple, you might feel special presence of God. Satsang, special remembrance of God. But main sadhana is seeing that Bhagwan everywhere. Next one is very nice value. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. Vivikta Desha means a place which is pure and a place which is solitary. Sevitvam means one who loves to retire into these places. Don't think retire means full retirement. Retire means in a day he likes to go to these places. Vivikta Desha Sevitvam. Some part of the day he has carved out for solitude. Gurudev calls it as dry dock. Ship which has gone in the sea, gotten all the fungus and everything stuck down there, it comes to the dry dock, repairs itself, again goes back to the sea. This is all the retreats that we do, solitude that we have, that is our dry dock for the mind. How was our day? How was our sadhana? What were we proud of? What were we not proud of? What can we do differently? All these things he is able to reflect. Along with that, he is also able to pay attention to Vedantic teaching exclusively. That is the beauty of this quiet time, where his mind is able to focus. See, there is a difference between loneliness and solitude. Solitude is something which is voluntary. That is choosing to stay. And while he is in solitude, he is having a very good routine. Mind is very positively occupied. That is this Vivekta Desha Sevitvam. Generally, this solitude, many people don't like. They say, even at home, if I am there, I said, keep the TV on, radio on, lights on. Because what happens there is, we have to face our own mind. When we are active in the world, subconscious mind is not available to us. Something or the other will be doing. But the moment we are by ourselves, solitary place, sadhaka has to face his own mind. But spiritual life cannot progress without solitude. I need some time where I can do this exclusively. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives very nice pointers. He emphasizes this solitude a lot. He says, whenever you get time, take a few days off. Try to stay away from worldliness and shift mind exclusively towards the goal. Now somebody might say, why should I go to a pure place? Why should I go to solitary place? Isn't God everywhere? He says that is true. But if you are planting a sapling, we have to protect it with a fence. When that sapling becomes a tree, he says you can tie an elephant to that tree. Nothing will happen. So this mind which is trying to turn inwards, mind which is trying to think about Vedanta, it needs exclusive time. Duration is not important. What is important is quality. At least for that time, I should be able to withdraw. Shankaracharya says, what is this Vivekta Desha? Vivektaha Svabhavataha Samskarena va. Either this place is pure by itself or it has been purified. So if you go to some pilgrimage place, so that place is pure by itself. But if we do sadhana in a room, chant Veda mantras there, chant regularly there, that purification is called samskarena. Through some action we are purifying it. Ashuchyadibihi sarpa vyagradibischya rahita. It is free from impurity. In Shankaracharya's time he says it is free from snakes, lions and all other wild animals. Meaning what? Mind should not have concern of immediate world. That is the main point. See, forest looks very nice from outside. But when you go there, we realize you are sitting in meditation, slowly you feel something moving. And what will you meditate upon? He says that is this Vivikta Desha, Aranya, forest, but without Sarpa Vyagradi. Nadi Pulina, bank of a river. Deva Gruhadibihi, our own puja room or temple. Viviktaha deshaha means one who craves to go to such places. That shows his spiritual samskara. One who craves solitude, that person is here. Okay, so why do we need clean and solitary place? Because our mind has to quieten down. Place has an impact on the mind. Swami Akhandanandji, he writes, he's talking to all monks, okay, who are sitting there. He says, you all will not know this. In the city, there are clubs called as night clubs. And he says, night is ignorance and club is club. So, ignorance club. He translates. Means that place will have some impact. We cannot say, I will just go there and remain unaffected. He says, don't play with fire. Now and then, choose a place which is solitary. Which Upanishad mantra resonates with this? Anya vacho vimunchata amrutasya setuhu. Mundaka Upanishad mantra said, if you are a seeker of truth, give up all other talks. Means internally don't value any of them. Shankaracharya said in Sadhana Panchakam, Ekante sukhamasyatam paratare chetas samadhiyatam. Ekante sukhamasyatam. Solitude should become joyous. And what should I do in that place? Paratare chetas samadhiyatam. Think about nature of self. Natu rutha vakyam samucharyatam. If something is not talking about truth, something is not taking us to the truth, no need to say it. Means no need to engage in such conversations. You know what will happen in our sadhana is, whenever we start walking on this path, these things will naturally happen. Our taste will change. Mind will start beeping from inside if you enter some erroneous conversations. But we ourselves will not know whether stepping out is good thing or not. Is it my duty to stay there, or can I do solitary sadhana? So whenever we see in these verses, it just strengthens that understanding. That you should seek solitary place. If not the whole day, at least for some time. Sadhaka was already feeling it. He was already feeling, I need that quiet time. Now he gets validity of scriptures. Just like in all values, true meaning of solitude will apply only to Atma. Because see, going to some place for certain time, that is not the main thing. That is not Vedanta Moksha. Going to place certain time is helpful for me to think about Atma. That part also we should not. Next one, Aratihi Jana Samsadi. This also is very wonderful value. Arati means delight. Arati means not taking delight. Jana means people. Samsada means gathering of people. How does this value translate now? Not taking delight in gathering of people. So Bhagavan, how will I live? Because wherever I go, there will be group of people. What do you mean when you say not taking delight in gathering of people? Shankaracharya clarifies. He says, Aratihi aramanam. Aramana means not taking delight. Jana samsadi. What is Jana Samsadi? He says that Jana refers to specific type of people. Jananam prakrutanam, samskara shunyanam, avinitanam, samsat samavayah Jana Samsat. Prakrutanam means one who has not cultivated any values. Prakruta means whatever natural instincts are there, he doesn't hesitate to express those instincts. See, animals, they are called as prakrutika yoni because they don't have to think on top of their instincts. If lion feels like pouncing, it will not think, oh, who is there in front? It's a deer, I should not pounce. What time of the day it is? It will not think. If it is already engineered in it, it will do Prakruti. If not, it will just express. So what is Prakrutanam? This is the person who does whatever comes to his mind. Prakrutanam samskara shunyanam. Doesn't have spiritual samskaras. All the time, topic of conversation is Kanchana, Kamini, Kirti. That is the topic of conversation. Avinitanam. Those having discussed with whom our ego will rise. Ego will rise. Meaning what? Whatever they say, it will make us feel small. Whatever they say, we will also feel like adding something to it. Worldly topics are like that. It will increase our ahankara, avinitanam. Group of that people is called as Jana Samsat. Jana Samsat. Shankaracharya says, Bhagavan Krishna here, he says, don't hesitate to step away. At least if you cannot step away, don't take delight in it. Aratihi Jana Samsadi. If there is worldly talk going on somewhere, don't revel in that talk. And opposite is also true. If there is satsang going on somewhere, you can go uninvited also. If 2-3 people are discussing spiritual topic, don't hesitate. Go and join. Even if you don't contribute, just listen. That is Ratihi in Satsangati. Aratihi Jana Samsadi. Not having or taking delight in worldly talks. Ramakrishna Paramahansa gives an example for this. He has also written elaborately on worldliness. He writes in one place, I can handle anything but worldliness. And many people used to come to him, and some of them would be very devoted to him. So they would ask about God, they would ask about other things. He says other people would always ask, when are we going back? Because their mind is not able to settle down here. He says, if there is a typhoid patient, and there are some pickles kept in his room, and this person loves pickle, and what should be done? He should be taken out from that room. Either take him out or take the pickle out. Whichever is easier. Both should be separated. You cannot keep both of them together. So he says that pickle is worldly talks. And this person is a sadhaka, one who is seeking God. Now, Bhagavan, what is the problem in worldly talks? I feel it is very harmless. He says it looks harmless, but it's a slow poisoning. Whatever vasanas which were dormant inside, slowly they will get kindled. Whatever vasanas were dormant, they will get kindled. Desires will increase. Anyway, he was struggling with desire, with kama, with vasanas. Now on top of that, he has brought back several other things which he need not have invoked. That is another downside of this. That's why Narada Bhakti Sutra, Dussangah Sarvata Eva Tyajyah. If we want progress, let go of Dussanga at all cost. And naturally it will happen. Twice, thrice, if you say no, 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 fourth time they will not invite. That's a very good thing. They will also appreciate. Sunday morning, this person goes to Balvihar. Saturday evening, he goes there. Fridays, he has study group. So all of those things will naturally drop. Here also we should pay attention to the same point, what we discussed before. This sadhana is not to become judgmental of others. Because anahankara also we saw, right? It is not to think that sadhaka is better than others. The point to note here is, although everybody is God, our transaction with everybody is not the same. Everybody is Bhagavad Swarupa, but our vyavahara with each person is according to Nama, Rupa and Guna. So if person is Sattvic, he has to look for Sattvic company to protect his Sattva. Tamasic person, one can stay away from. Because you're only staying away from the conditioning, not the self. That part also we should note. Okay. Cow is also God, tiger is also God. But you can hug a cow, not hug a tiger. That is Arati Jana Samsadi. Everybody is God, but certain people we have to stay away from, and certain we have to go closer to. Okay. Next, one more quality, let us see. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tatvajnanartha darshanam etadjnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tatvajnanartha darshanam etadjnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam. This word Adhyatma jnana is beautiful. Although the culmination of Adhyatma jnana is in self-abidance, discerning between real and unreal, and abiding in the real. That is the final step. But we had seen in 8th chapter, what is the definition of Adhyatma? Swabhavaha Adhyatma Uchyate. Means wherever I have the bhava of swa. Swabhava there doesn't mean tendencies. Swabhava, wherever I have the bhava of swa, that is called as Adhyatma. Means wherever I have I notion. So where all do I have I notion? Starting with this body, then mind, intellect, vasanas. All these things we have I notion, that put together, everything put together is called as Adhyatma. Now what will be Adhyatma Jnana? Knowing how these things work. Knowing how my mind works is also part of Adhyatma Jnana. Knowing what kindles which kind of vasanas is Adhyatma Jnana. How to come out of it. So understanding how this individuality works and transcending it, that is called as Adhyatma Jnana. In this, one has to be steadfast. See, sometimes what happens, we translate Adhyatma Jnana only as Atma Anatma Viveka, which is true. But our problem is in the basic steps. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu. In exercise, in sleep, in activity, moderation in all those things is also part of Adhyatma Jnana. Pratipaksha bhavana, everything put together. So this Adhyatma Jnana is a very packed word. In this, having steadfastness. So through following of these steps, when a person reaches the last step of Atma and Atma Viveka, when he can discern both very well, Atma and Anatma, you see, that is called as Adhyatma Jnana. The example given for this is coconut shell and kernel. The thing which is inside the kernel and the coconut shell. You see, the outer shell is Anatma. And the kernel inside is Atma. And the water in that coconut is worldliness. Think about this example. Outer shell is Anatma. The inner shell, the kernel is Atma, sweet, Ananda Swarupa. And the water inside is worldliness. Until worldliness is there, the kernel and the shell are together. You cannot separate it. But the moment that water dries up, the kernel separates from the shell. Means Atma is seen different than Anatma. Once if I do it, twice if I do it, will I be able to abide in this? One says no. Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. Time and again we have to do this because they will always appear together. Atma and Anatma, they will always come together. This is the sadhana for a Vedanta sadhaka. See, if I make this statement, I am seeing the chair. I am seeing the chair. How many things are involved here? From where should we start? Should we start from chair or should we start from other side? Let us start from chair. You have the chair, then you have this body, then you have the eyes which are seeing the chair, then you have the thought which is illumining the eyes. In that thought you have reflected consciousness and you have pure consciousness. So many things are there when you say, I am seeing the chair. Now what is Atma here? Pure consciousness. What is Anatma? Starting from reflected consciousness all the way till the world. Constantly reminding ourselves, Anatma appears in Atma. The chair, the body, the eyes, the thought, reflected consciousness, all of them are an appearance in the self. This is called as Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. I think we can conclude this last one also. Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Last value Bhagavan says, Tattva Jnana is self-knowledge. Tattva Jnana Artha. Artha means purpose, result. Darshanam. Darshanam means contemplating upon result of self-knowledge. See the beauty, huh? One is contemplating upon self-knowledge, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam. And this one is Tattva Jnana Artha Darshanam, contemplating on result of self-knowledge. Means Bhagavan says, now and then we should honestly evaluate, are we headed in the right direction? What is the result of self-knowledge? Sthita prajna lakshana. Equanimous in joy and sorrow. Mind not running after sense objects. Different results are given. Bhagavan says, now and then keep looking at them. Contemplate on them and ask yourself whether you are headed in the right direction. Main one is this, Tadjnanam prashamakaram yadindriyanam. Knowledge is that which quietens the mind and senses. See, sometimes if a person says, I drove for 5 hours, and the distance that he had to travel was 50 miles. What does that mean? He drove in the opposite direction. Merely driving is nothing great. In the same way, merely striving or doing some action is nothing great. You can apply this to Karma Yoga also. One thing is to understand what is Karma Yoga. Right? How to do actions, surrendering to the Lord, becoming His instrument, prasada buddhi, tuning with others. 3rd chapter, whatever things Bhagavan says, that is one part. What is the second part? To see whether I am getting the results of Karma Yoga in my life. That will be Yoga Artha Darshanam. If I say I am living life of Karma Yoga, but my mind is disturbed. Previously I had 5 enemies, now I have 50. What is the bottom line? There is something I need to re-examine. I think I am doing Karma Yoga, but it is not giving me that result. That is this quality, Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam. Bhagavan says, just like you have a map, you have your destination and current location. Honestly evaluate both of them. Destination is Tattva Jnanartha Lakshanam. What are the final results which are seen in a Jnani? And current evaluation is, where am I compared to that result? Etad Jnanam iti proktam. This is called as Jnanam, whatever I spoke from Amanitvam. Ajnanam yadatonyatha. This is a very beautiful statement. Opposite of that is ignorance. If Amanitvam is Atmanaha Shlaganam Tadabhavaha, what is Manitvam? Okay, if Amanitvam is not having the tendency to speak about oneself, what is Manitvam? Bragging about oneself. Dambhitvam is not talking about one's own good qualities. Adambhitvam. What is Dambhitvam? Talking about one's own good qualities. Opposite of Ahimsa is Himsa. Opposite of Kshanti is revengefulness. Opposite of Arjavam is crookedness. Opposite of Acharyopasanam, disrespecting Guru and elders. Opposite of Shaucham, uncleanliness. Opposite of Stairyam, not being steadfast in anything. Today he picks up one thing, tomorrow something else. Opposite of Atma Vinigraha is allowing the mind to do whatever it wants. One commentator, he writes a beautiful thing. He says, the one who is following worldly life, one who wants worldliness, they will feel the opposite of these values is kartavya. See whether it is true or not. If somebody is wanting world and world alone, all the opposite things which we discussed, that will seem like things which should be done. You might package it nicely. Just by forgiving, nothing happens. You have to take revenge in some places. You have to talk about yourself. Unless you say your good qualities, how will others know? All those things are in one place. But he says you decide whether you want jnanam or ajnanam. If you are walking on the path of jnanam, these are the qualities. Amanitvam, adambhitvam. But if you want ajnanam, don't be surprised if opposite looks appealing. Okay, so with this we conclude the discussion on values. Next session we will continue with the topic on Kshetrajna. Next Wednesday, coming Wednesday is Shivaratri, so we will not have Ramcharitmanas class, and it will go on till midnight, so we will also not have Thursday morning Mundaka class. This weekend Balvihar sessions, adult classes are there. Tuesday morning Mundaka is there. Tuesday evening Sanskritam is also there. And Wednesday, Thursday we will not have sessions. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.